Hey guys, welcome to K-VERSATION. I'm your host, Daniel, and today I'm truly honored to interview Jamie Gao. To give you guys a little more context of Jamie Gao is the current Mandarin and literature teacher at the Nueva School, and she is also the lead for the Taiwan Exchange Program. Hi, Jamie. It's so nice to see you today.
Hi, Danielle. Nice to see you too. Thank you
Hi.
for having me.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Just to dive into the first question, could you describe your educational background and to what extent did you experience an exam-centered or test-driven system?
Hmm. Okay. So I grew up in Taiwan and as you know, was educated in a system that was quite exam centered.
Hmm.
Um, so from an early age, right? The community re-emphasized academic success,
Hmm.
um, which is closely tied to test performance.
Mm.
And exams were often seen as the main measure of students' ability and also diligence, mostly about my future potential.
Mm.
In school learning, 100% is centered, particularly after doing junior high and also high school, particularly. For
Mm.
junior high to enter a desired public high school, which is deemed as the best school in Taiwan, we also need to pass entrance exam.
I
And high
see.
school to college, there's
Hmm.
another major we call 联考, major
Hmm.
entrance exam. So in early age, I have learned from the community, from parents and my cousins,
Hmm.
siblings, to have good 考试, have a good grade, and
Mm.
it's very important. And in school, much of learning, I would say 90% was oriented toward doing well on quizzes
I
and
see.
standardized tests and
Hmm.
exams. Yeah. So memorizations, reputations, and accuracy was highly valued.
I see. Okay. Similar. In your view, why is academic achievement so closely linked to social status in Korea or Asia?
Although I'm from Taiwan, yeah, but this pattern is common across many Asia societies, including
Mhm.
Korea, Japan, China, of course. And academic achievements is often closely linked to social status because
Mm.
educational has historically have been viewed as one of the most legitimate and respected path to
Mm.
upward mobility, right?
Mm.
And in East Asia, mainly influenced by Confucius,
Mhm.
and society was where competition is intense and opportunities can feel limited. That score and which score you enter become the symbols, not only students' intelligence, but also
Mhm.
often also of discipline and family background, future economic security, academic success often bring honor
Mhm.
not just to the individual, but to the entire family. And there's a lot of childhood
Yeah.
stories that I can share, you're right?
Uh-huh.
Family compete with family. They will boast the success. And yeah, it was quite heavy for young people. And because of this, educational attainment becomes deeply tied to social recognition and identity. Identity.
Mm. Yeah,
For better
I
and
see.
for worse, yeah.
Mhm. So, how is academic failure then typically interpreted in Korea or broader Asian educational contexts?
I only can speak for broader Asian
Mhm.
educational context and anchor in Taiwan. Taiwan's my own personal experience, right? So the context in many Asia's educational contexts,
Mhm.
academic failure is very unfortunately often translates not simply as one setback, as a reflection of character, effort, or even their individual worth. Yeah, at least for my generation,
Mm.
there's a lot of changes in
Yeah.
21st century. So rather than being seen as part of learning, failure may be viewed as evidence that a student did not work hard enough,
I see.
was not disciplined enough, or did
Mhm.
not fulfill family expectations. And with recent Fuxing exchange students doing our chats, still have the kind of shadow among young
Mm,
people these days. And this kind of mentality can create shame and pressure, particular pressure.
I see.
And of course, this is changing. This is changing in some communities, and many educators and parents are becoming more aware of mental health
Mm,
and multiple forms of intelligence. Yeah, but still, you're right. From observation from both sides, from past and current, still the cultural weights of academic performance remain very strong. And
mm,
failure can carry emotional and social consequences
I see.
beyond the school and classroom.
Yeah, I've seen that in Korea as well, and I agree with how it's very different from like the US.
Yeah.
And like moving on, I'm not sure if this is in Taiwan. I know this is the thing in Korea. What is your perspective on hagwons, which is private supplementary academies? Do you believe that they contribute positively or negatively in students and society?
Hangguan, I believe, is in Taiwan we call 补习班.
Mm,
After school, right? In my generation, it's huge business for
I see.
in the educational world.
Mhm,
Means everybody, almost everybody, if we can afford, you just have to go. It's a norm
mm,
in my
mm,
generation. You just have
I
to go.
see.
Yeah. And for my personal perspective, institutions like or companies, classrooms like in Korea, it's
Mm,
called Hangwan, yeah, can provide very short-term academic supports, structures, and also reinforcements. Yeah,
mm,
particularly when students feel they need extra help, extra
mhm,
practice. Yeah. And they feel the school in Taiwan, school in my generation, that was is a big class. My classroom, I had 54 students and one
Oh,
teacher.
wow.
There was no TA.
I see.
And there's no extra supports from school. So families need to seek outside school resources. Yeah. But in this kind of extra supports, extra resources, right? The
Mhm,
border social level, I think the shadow education system often creates more inequity,
I
extra
see.
stress,
Mm,
and the dependency on constant performance. The students need to constantly feel I need to perform. I need to
mm,
perform to achieve the goal the family or the society impose
mhm,
on. Yeah, and this kind of provoke a lot of memories
mhm.
personally. So
Yeah.
it can intensify the idea of ordinary schooling is never enough, right? And so this failure of entire system. And that children must always do more, study
Mm,
more, and compete more. It's never enough. And this is not only exhaust students, but also widen the gap between family with different financial resources.
mm,
And I have many personal stories from friends. This is not a very good influence, a good thing. So why this kind of 补习班 can help many students, yeah, in many different way, in a very practical ways.
mm,
I think, yeah, my personal opinion, the larger impact is negative. It's not really helpful.
mm. So then, like, how do you think the structure and culture of Korea or Asian or
Mhm.
even Taiwan education system shapes students' academic experiences, personal development, and even
Mhm.
overall well-being?
This is a very big, it's a big question.
Mhm.
Yeah, let's see. We can have a class about this. Yeah. So in short, this kind of structure can produce students who are hardworking, disciplined, persistent, and
Mhm,
academically resilient.
mhm,
But many students in such a system learn to manage heavy workloads and
mm,
learn how to respect authority and
mhm,
develop strong study habits. So whatever said above are real strengths. But at the same time, when a system is overly competitive and narrowly focused on performance, it really can limit creativity and intrinsic motivation and emotional well-being. I don't see any joy for some students. And the
mm,
students may become afraid of making mistakes, which I have witnessed many in my past educational career. It depends
mhm,
on the external evaluation or uncertain who they are beyond achieve the achievements. It feel like the sole goal is to get a good grade And so the same structure that builds endurance and no, the
Academic?
school academic
Yeah.
rigor can
Uh,
also suppress exploration, right? And
mm,
joy and confidence, and worse, the mental health, right?
mm.
If this is not balanced with humility and flexibility, it's for me, it's all negative.
We'll see. You talked a lot about seeing those experiences and seeing students. If a student in the United States and a student in Korea or Asia, if they both complete high school, how
Mm.
might they differ in terms of academic preparation, skills, a mindset, or even personal characteristics? Based on your observations, what do you think are the most significant differences?
Okay. So this, I'm going to give you a broad comparison, right?
Hmm.
And just from my personal perspective. And of course, there are many expectations, yeah. But generally speaking, students from Asia, from Asia cannot
Hmm.
represent, or from Taiwan, maybe more practiced in test taking and have
Mm.
higher endurance and very good at memorization.
Mm.
And also working within highly structured academic expectation is my life before.
Mm.
And American students may be more comfortable with speaking up. That's a major difference I observe, right? From
Mhm.
both students from both sides. They very comfortable to with speaking up and asking questions
Mm.
and expressing individual opinions and engage in project-based or
Mhm.
discussion-based learning. With so many students in my classroom in Taiwan, only voice is from the teacher.
Teacher.
Yeah, we had to be quiet and take notes, lower our head. In my
Mhm.
generation, way older generation.
Yeah.
And in many cases, Taiwan students may have stronger stigma. Yes,
Mm.
step meaning they have
Yeah.
this. They have stronger resilience for sustained school pressure. And
Mhm.
American students may show greater ease with creativity, presentation. They can speak up for themselves.
Mm.
Uh, I would say most big difference is often not in intelligence or capability, but
Mhm.
educational conditioning.
Yeah.
One system tend to train students to excel within structures competition. So the sequence is
Mm.
set.
Yeah.
You can see, you can predict is for some students, they feel comfortable if you're secure in this kind of structure system, right? But while the other is best, allow more room for individuality and also exploration and
I
voice.
see.
And this
Mhm.
a lot to do with cultural, Eastern Asia cultural and Western cultural, individualism and collectivism,
Mhm.
and share same ideology and expectation.
Yeah, I think as a student of Nueva also, I see that really project based and also seeing a lot of students being able to really focus on a lot of things that they're passionate about and be able to also talk and have a connection relationship with their teacher. And as having parents who went to Korean school and also friends who went to Korean school, I also see the differences that you're talking about. And
Mhm.
earlier you talked about like the
联考.
exam college test or so how do you think American students and maybe even specifically students like me at Nueva, how do you think we would perform in those Cao or in Korea the CSAT? Do you think we would do well? What factors do you think would influence their performance?
I don't think you are going to do well with any preparation, right? Our newer students are very clearly is very bright,
Mhm.
capable, and often strong in critical thinking,
Mhm.
creativity, discussion, and interdisciplinary learning. Yeah. But however, the 联考, Taiwan 联考 or Korea
Mhm.
CSAT, they are very similar, or 高考 in China. It's very specific type of exam,
I
and
see,
that
yeah.
rewards not only knowledge, but
Mm.
also you need to be familiar with the formats,
Mhm.
pacing,
Mhm.
pressure, and style
Yeah.
preparation. So I do not think
Yeah.
performance would
I
depends
see.
on your
Mhm.
intelligence or your
Mhm.
creativity. Yeah, I mean, it really depends on training. Without
Mhm.
target preparation, many excellent American students might will struggle,
Mhm.
not because they are less capable, just because
Yeah.
they are not have been conditioned for this kind of high state
Mhm.
exam system. Yeah. But on the other hand, if you, Daniel, you were given sufficient time and focused preparation, many of you and you will do well.
Mm.
Likely you adapt very well.
I see.
That's
Okay.
hope. Yeah, that's hope for you. Yeah,
Yeah.
hurry up.
So you've already talked about the difference in generations. How do you think education systems have changed across generations, and what major shifts have you observed?
The thing is that the world becomes smaller, yeah, smaller, not just for border Asian perspective, right? So one major shift across generation is the education has become even more competitive in some ways, but
Mm,
also make more self-aware, right?
I see.
So earlier generation often accepts academic pressure as normal and avoidable. They don't have choice. But today, look at our exchange program. Yes, yeah, you have this, also our travel program. So today there's more public conversation, worldwide conversation about student stress,
Mm,
depressions, burnt out, identity, and also the cause of excessive competition.
mm,
Parents and educators are more aware of that success cannot be measured only by scores. There's also greater exposure to global idea about creativity, social emotional learning, students, agents,
mhm,
and diverse pathway to success. I hope this
mm,
AI, the new way of AI, can make parents and students use them as a mirror to
mm,
reflect our own humility, the importance
mhm,
as a human being, right? So but in the same time, at the same time, the pressure has not disappeared. So in some cases, it has simply become more complicated, right? The students are
mhm,
now expected not only to get high scores, but also to be well-rounded, globally competitive, and emotional healthy. So the definition of success has broadened, but the burden has not necessarily become lighter.
mm,
But
yeah.
even though we have this exchange program, they can compare. We learn from Taiwan. Taiwan can learn from us. But we are talking
Mhm,
about an entire community, entire
mm,
country, and also 1,000 years of
yeah.
cultural impacts. I'm very hopeful because first of all, they are aware. Next step is how to take action.
Okay, great. And last question, Jamie. From your perspective as an educator, what would constitute an ideal school or education system? And is Nueva or is like Asian education system, are they somewhat similar?
So Daniel, just remember, Nueva is a very unique school.
Mm,
Yes. But for me, I love this question because I always like this idea if I have power, I have money.
mhm. Yeah.
I'm going to create my ideal school. Yeah. For me, an ideal school will be combine academic depth with humility. Again, I mentioned AI, right? For me, it's a mirror. I said this is humility to keep
Mhm,
in the loop. It's such an
mhm,
urgent thing we have to really take action. So
mhm.
my ideal school is like we learn about Zhongyong, right? Confucianism always misused by people in power, try to achieve their own ambitious
Yeah.
or own goal, right? But
Mhm,
中庸思想 actually is very good balance. You gotta balance both,
mm.
right? The ideal school you need to challenge students intellectually, but not reduce them to numbers.
I see. Yeah.
And you have to to foster their creativity, preserve the original
Mhm,
creativity we all have.
mm,
Discipline, empathy, and resilience is also very
mhm,
important. You
mhm.
also in Taiwan in public school system, not private school, we need to make room for students' voice.
Yeah.
There's
Mhm.
multiple way of learning option which give students choices
Yeah.
and students agency different kind
Mhm,
of there's different kind of excellency. And my
mhm.
background is regional media. We emphasize 100 images of students, not just one side. There's many
Mhm.
100,000 different way. And the school also need to recognize the education is not only about preparing students for college or career,
Mm.
also about helping them become thoughtful and ethical, alive human beings.
Yeah.
Greater responsibility, greater mission beyond
Mhm.
that for the entire humanity, society, country, and school, society, and then country and humanity, and greater entire world. So this will be my ideal school. Everybody as a
Mhm.
kind human being and work together and achieve the same goal. Yeah. Put individual strength and your strength combine all individual strengths and then you work toward the same goal. And then there was hope for the world.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much, Jamie. Thank you so much. I think your responses were so great. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for
Thank
making the
you.
time today.
Of course.
Yeah.